Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to be automotive detectives. Your car has sent out a distress signal, a cryptic little code, and we are going to crack this case wide open together. So you've plugged in that scanner and boom, this code pops up. P0232. Now, it looks like a bunch of random numbers, but trust me, it's a very specific clue. Your car is trying to tell you something's up with its fuel system, and we're about to translate that message into plain English. All right, so like any good investigation, we've got to start by understanding the main clue. What exactly is a P0232 code? Let's get right into it. Okay, so the official definition sounds a bit technical, right? But here's what it really means. Your car's brain, which we call the PCM, has noticed something strange. It's told the fuel pump to turn off, but it sees that electricity is still flowing to it. It's kind of like flipping a light switch off, but the bulb just stays on. That's the core of our mystery right there. Now, to really get this, you need to understand there are two circuits involved. You've got the primary circuit. Think of this as the low-power command center. It's the car's brain sending the order. But then you have the secondary circuit, and that's the high-power power line. That's the muscle that actually does the work of running the pump. Our code, P0232, is telling us the command is fine. The problem is with the power line itself. It's stuck in the on position. So, the computer has found its clue, but what about you? What are the things you can actually see, hear, or feel from the driver's seat? Let's head over to the crime scene and look at the real-world symptoms this code leaves behind. As we go through this list, think about your own car. Does any of this ring a bell? Because these are the classic fingerprints that P0232 leaves all over the place. First off, that constant humming sound coming from the back of the car, yep, that's your fuel pump motor running when it should be totally silent. And of course, if that thing runs all night long, you're going to wake up to a dead battery. It also messes with how the engine gets fuel, so you might find it's hard to start, or it might even stall out on you. And of course, the big one, that lovely check engine light is going to be staring you in the face. All right, we've got our clue, we've examined the evidence. Now it's time for my favorite part, lining up the usual suspects. What could possibly be causing that fuel pump to stay powered up? This chart here gives us the odds. And as you can see, wiring problems are a huge chunk of the pie. But I want you to pay close attention to that smaller slice for a stuck relay. Even though it looks small, it's an incredibly common and thankfully simple culprit in this particular case. Let's start with our most straightforward suspect, the fuel pump relay. It's really just a tiny little electromagnetic switch. Its only job is to turn the power on and off. But sometimes, the little metal contacts inside can get so hot they actually weld themselves together. When that happens, it's stuck on, constantly sending power to the fuel pump, no matter what the car's brain is telling it to do. Now, our second suspect is a bit more sneaky. Imagine the power wire for the fuel pump has its protective coating rubbed off somewhere, and it's accidentally touching another wire that's always got power. It's essentially created its own illegal backdoor connection, totally bypassing the relay and any commands from the computer. That's what we call a classic short to power. Okay, we've got our suspects, so how do we figure out which one is guilty? Well, the great news is the first part of this investigation is surprisingly simple. You don't need to be a master mechanic. Let's look at the checklist. First, just use your ears. Seriously, if you hear that humming from the gas tank when the key is out of the ignition, that's a massive clue. Next, find the fuse box, locate the fuel pump relay, and give it a gentle tap. If that doesn't do it, try the swap test. Find another relay in the box that's identical, like the one for your horn, and swap them. If the humming stops but now your horn doesn't work, well, you've just found your culprit. And honestly, this is one of the most satisfying moments in car repair. Sometimes that little tap is just enough to knock those welded contacts loose inside the relay, and the humming will just stop. It's such a simple test, but it points the finger directly at suspect number one. So, we've identified our culprit. It's time to close this case. We need to talk about the fix, what it's going to cost, and most importantly, the final verdict on whether it's safe to be on the road. And this, right here, is the question that really matters most. Your car might still run, so it's tempting to think, can I put this off and just keep driving? And the answer to that is a hard no. And here is exactly why. Cars are designed with a critical safety feature that instantly cuts power to the fuel pump in a crash. This is to prevent fires. But with a P0232 code, that safety system is broken. The pump could keep spraying fuel after an impact, which is an incredible fire hazard. It's just not worth the risk. Now, I know that sounds really serious, but here's the good news. The most common fix for this whole problem, that little stuck relay, is an incredibly cheap and easy part to replace yourself. We're talking about a fix that often costs less than a single tank of gas. For that price, taking care of a major safety risk is an absolute no-brainer. So let's wrap up the case file. If your clue is a constantly running pump, your main suspect is a stuck relay. The fix is a simple replacement, but the verdict is a high fire risk. If your clue is a dead battery, you might be looking at a short circuit, which needs a wiring inspection. But in either scenario, the final verdict is exactly the same. Do not drive. And with that, the case of the constant fuel pump is closed. You've seen how just understanding a single code can turn a really confusing problem into a clear, simple action plan. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets is your car's computer just waiting to tell you? Thanks for joining me on this investigation.